Good evening, everyone. So, we will be taking up the international relationship webinar for the previous year, for the previous month. So, am I audible? Audible, right? Okay, fine. Okay, so before we take up the discussion regarding the international relation webinar or say IR webinar, there's a small announcement. So that is regarding the rescheduling of the webinar. So on 24th of April, that's the coming Wednesday. So we'll be having polity and governance webinar at 8:30 p.m. And on 29th of April, that is the coming Monday, we'll be having art and culture webinar again at 8:30 p.m. and remaining all the webinars is as per schedule. Is it clear? Am I clear? Again, I'll repeat it. On 24th of April, that is this Wednesday, we'll be having polity and governance webinar. On 29th of April, that the coming Monday, that's the next week Monday, we'll be having art and culture webinar at 8:30. Remaining all the webinars are as per schedule. Is it clear? Okay, fine. So now let us start with the IR webinar. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. So now let us start with the IR webinar. So the topics that we are considering or say taking up today is the Indian diaspora. Again, here, guys, from UPSC perspective, IR is one of the most important topic. Just consider your mains. In your mains, usually question number 9, question number 10, question number 19, and question number 20 in your GS2 paper, that is GS2 paper question 9, 10, 19, 20. So 9 and 10 is 20 marks. So 19 and 20, that is 15 and 15, 30 marks. So in IR, every year you get 50 marks directly from IR. Out of 250 marks in your GS paper, IR has 50 marks directly. You can take up any year paper. Question number 9, 10, 19, 20 in GS2 is IR, 50 marks. And again, guys, from UPSC perspective, IR is one of the most easiest questions. It's not that you have to put some rocket science in the paper. No, it's one of the most easiest questions to answer. You just need to use some international relation jargons and should have a broad overview about IR. And again, see, one important thing that you have to note here is that in IR, don't try to become an PhD holder in IR. Not required from UPSC perspective. Unless your option is PSIR, you need not go in detail regarding each and every aspects of the international relation between two different countries. So just have a broad overview. You just need to understand what is the convergence and what is the divergence. Why India should align with that country. What are the challenges? That's what you have to understand. Why India should align with say so and so country, and what are the challenges. Okay, this is the basic thing that you have to go through it. Fine. In IR, is it clear? Okay, so now let us start with the topics. So these any doubts here? uh, okay, fine. Okay, so now let us start with the first topic, that is Indian diaspora. So recently, there was a news that stated that many Indians are giving up Indian citizenship and taking up US citizenship. So that was the article in the Hindu newspaper. That is, say, almost nearly 66,000 Indians gave up Indian citizenship and took up US citizenship. So this is the article, and again from UPSC syllabus, diaspora is one of the important topic. That is, Indian diaspora is one of the important topic in your GS2. Questions do come directly from this topic, Indian diaspora. So again, one of the based on the syllabus, this article is very relevant. That is, nearly 66,000 Indians took up American citizenship by giving up Indian citizenship. So what is the reason? So what is the reason that we'll see, and what are the effects of it we'll see, and what can be the possible outcome. So all these things will be analyzing. So what does the report says? The report says that in 2022, almost say 65,000 or say 66,000 Indians gave up Indian citizenship and became a US citizen. So that this was the news, and it was second largest entity, the second largest diaspora getting into the taking up US citizenship by giving their parent country citizenship. So the first one was Mexico, and the next position is held by India. That is 66,000 Indians gave up Indian citizenship and took up US citizenship. And the report also finds out that say almost 2.8 million foreign born Americans are from India. Almost say that is 28 lakh foreign born foreign born Americans are Indians. So this is again a big number. It is again second to Mexico. That is, India is in a second position. So now, what are the impacts of this situation? That is, Indians giving up the Indian citizenship and taking up US citizenship. What are the impacts of it? We'll be analyzing. So the first one is your economic impact. See, just assume this. So the people who go from India and get into US and take up their citizenship are usually the elite crowd, or the well-read people only. So what happens? What are the economic impacts if one Indian citizen goes into the US and renounces Indian citizenship and takes up US citizenship? What are the impacts? The first impact would be your economic impact, that is your brain drain and skill loss. See, usually if a person has to go from India to US and take up a good job over there and then get US citizenship, it shows that this person has to have a high caliber. Also, this person should have very high potential, who can generate a lot of economic activities. But this person is going to US, and as a reason, what is happening? India is losing out this person. So there's a brain drain that is happening, there's a skill loss that is happening. This person was an Indian who had very high capability, and now this person went to US and took up US citizenship. So what would happen? India would lose this person's capability. So this would lead to brain drain and skill losses. And but however, on the other side, it also increases Indian remittances. That is, the remittance in the sense the money that comes from the diaspora to the parent country. So that is your remittances. In the sense, if I go to US, work in US, and I send some money to the to my home, so that money is called as remittances. Did you get what is remittances? If I go to US, work in US, and send that money back to the my home, so that money would be called as remittances. And India is the largest country that has the highest number of remittances. We get almost 125 billion dollars every year. So 125 billion dollars India earns, that is through remittances. So again, so this is one advantage, the one advantage. And again, if you consider the remittances in India, the largest contribution comes from US. The people, that is the Indians working in US, they are the largest contributor to Indian remittances. And across the world, the amount of remittance that India receives is the highest. That is, India almost receives 125 billion dollars. So that's a big number. So this is the positive side of the Indians going to US, or say taking up US citizenship. This is the positive side. And the other positive side is also your investment potential. That is NRIs. Usually the NRIs who go to US, they earn in dollars, they have a lot of money, they can invest back in India. So usually if you see all very good infrastructure projects, it is usually invested by the NRIs, because they earn a lot over there, and then the additional money would be sent to India, and that would be invested in infrastructure projects. So investment, it increases the investment potential in India. And for that, RBI has dedicated policies and rules which makes it easy for the NRIs to invest in India. So again, this is one advantage, that is India doesn't have adequate capital to invest in some infrastructure projects. So as a reason, this NRIs, or the people people in US, they are a very good agents who can give us some money, who can give us some capital in terms of investment. So that would boost infrastructure in India. So this is one positive aspects of US Indians going to US. So again, investment potential would go high. And the next one is a return migration factor. So what is the return migration factor? See, the people who go to who go to India, that is who go to US, from India they go to US, they work there, and those people who will come back to India, they will create big economic activity in India. So for example, you can consider the Sachin Bansal. So who is this Sachin Bansal? The person who started Flipkart. So this person Sachin Bansal, he went to US, he worked in Amazon for quite a long duration, and he again came back to India and opened Flipkart. And due to Flipkart, probably thousands and thousands of jobs was created, and it helped in the increasing the economic e-commerce activities in India. So these are the positive benefits of Indians going to US, or say taking up the US citizenship. But it also has social impacts also. So what are the social impacts? What are the social impacts of this situation? That is diaspora soft power. When Indians, say for example, you can consider the Indians who go from India and take up US citizenship. So again, it will build a soft power of India across the world, and mainly in US. That is, the diaspora soft power would get strengthened. And next one is cultural exchanges would easily takes place, because it is the Indians who go to US, and if they take up the US citizenship, it is just the citizenship that has got changed, but their culture would remain almost the same. So as a reason, what would happen? The cultural contact between India and US would increase. The cultural exchanges would get strengthened between India and US. And the next one is education and research collaboration. So this is evident in the recent times. In the recent times, what has happened is that the Indians who go to US, and these are the Indians who usually work are in the STEM department. So this usually, and these STEM departments are into research work. So what happens? The Indians who go to US and take up their US citizenship, they will still contact, be in touch with their colleges and their universities. So as a reason, what happens? The research between the coordination, the coordinated research between India and US increases. So again, this will be another social impacts. But however, there are challenges between in regarding this issue. That is, Indians taking up the US citizenship, or say Indians going to US. There are a lot of challenges, and the most important challenge is the visa issue. You would have seen usually in, say Hyderabad, or say even in Bangalore for that matter, many people apply for US visa, but still they do not get it. So as a reason, what happens? It's a big difficult for Indians to go to US, and US has a limited number of visa provisions. As a reason, it is a bit difficult, or say challenging, for Indians to go to US. So this visa issue is one thing, and the next one is racism. So Indians do face a lot of racism in US. So this is a hurdle for Indians to go to US. So these are the challenges that are present between the diaspora contact between India and US. Is it clear? Am I audible? Dheeraj, it's audible for everyone. I think there's some technical glitch in your side. Fine. Okay. Okay. Aniket, the visa issue is that there are a lot. US has limited number of visa slots that are given. So, and there are a lot of Indians who want to get into US. So, as a reason, there's a lot of visa issues. That is, US has limited supply of visas, but there are a lot of demand for US visa in India. There's a mismatch between supply and demand. As a reason, it becomes challenging for all the Indians who wish to go to US to get visa. So that is the issue. Yeah, Donkey Route. Okay, we had one movie regarding that. Okay, fine. Okay, so this was the issue between India and US regarding Indians taking up US citizenship and renouncing India's citizenship. So now let us go to the next topic. So the next topic is Iran and Pakistan issue. This is an evolving issue. Even today, the president of Iran went to Pakistan. So, but however, if you see, say somewhere in January of this year, Iran was firing missiles to Pakistan. Pakistan was firing missiles on Iran. So this is an evolving issue, and so we'll see the history about this issue, and we'll see what are the impacts to India's relationship with both of this country when Iran and Pakistan comes together. So this issue will analyze in a comprehensive way. So what happened today? That is, Iran's president is visiting Pakistan, and what are the issues that would occur, or say probably would take place with respect to India-Iran relation and with respect to India-Pakistan relation. Is it clear? So that's what we'll be analyzing. So a brief history, that is. Iran president is planning to visit, or say has already visited Pakistan. Uh, Basically, what happened somewhere in January. So this region is your Balochistan region. So just focus on the board. So this region is your Balochistan region, and Iran is dominated by Shia population, and Pakistan is dominated by Sunni population. This the basics you have to understand. Iran is dominated by Shia population, and Pakistan is dominated by Sunni population. This is the Balochistan region. So here there is some border issues between Iran and Pakistan. So what happened somewhere in the beginning of this year, somewhere in January? So Iran launched few missile attacks on Pakistan. As a retaliation, Pakistan launched few missiles on Iran. So in this Balochistan province, in both the countries, that is your Iran and Pakistan. So there was a huge tension that was involved, had taken place between your Iran and Pakistan. So in order to reduce this tension, president of Iran is visiting the Pakistan. So this is the background behind this. So why this president is visiting Pakistan, we will see to it. So the reason why the president is visiting, the main reason is to strengthen trade and energy and connectivities between Iran and Pakistan. So Iran and Pakistan are planning to construct a gas pipeline. So this is the proposed gas pipeline between, say, Iran and Pakistan. So this gas pipeline would help in providing the gas to Pakistan. So what happens, Iran has rich resources of natural gas. So through this rich resources of natural gas, Iran wants to send the gas to Pakistan. So this would increase the economic ties between Iran and Pakistan. But what was the issue? The issue was this Balochistan region. In this Balochistan region, Iran claims that, please focus here, that is, Iran claims that Pakistan is supporting militants in this Balochistan province. As a reason, Iran attacked this region. In retaliation, Pakistan is telling that it is not the Pakistan that is hosting the militants, rather it is Iran that is hosting the militants in their province, in their Balochistan province. As a reason, Pakistan retaliated with some missile strikes in this region. So there was immense tension between Iran and Pakistan. So now, in order to reduce this tension, in order to reduce this tension, both Iran and Pakistan are taking their relationship towards economic aspects and energy security aspects. That is, by increasing the trade between Iran and Pakistan, by having energy ties between Iran and Pakistan, this issue can be resolved. So this is the background behind what all happened from January till April. So what would be the outcome if Iran goes closer to Pakistan, what would be the outcome? And again, here you should know that Iran is one of the strategic partner of India. So if you consider here, Iran is one of the closest ally of India. When this close ally moves towards Pakistan, it can have great impacts on India Iran relationship. It can have great impacts between India Pakistan relationship, and it can also change the geopolitical situation or the geopolitical dynamics in this South Asia region. So in this entire Indian Ocean region, it can change the geopolitics. So again, it can also bring in the China factor over here. So what are the impacts for India when Iran moves closer to Pakistan? That's what we'll be seeing here. Is it clear? Any doubts over here? Strategic partnership, yeah. Fine. Okay. No, okay, okay, okay. All good, right? Any doubts over here? Yeah, the week we can see all the classes related doubts, when the class would be conducted, etc., so on and so forth. It is better you contact the concerned person or say mail the concerned person. If you just put the doubt over here, the genuine doubts I cannot address. Okay, fine. Okay, so now let us start. Yeah, please put if there's a genuine doubt regarding the topic, please put it in the doubt section. So, or else, what happens? That genuine doubt doesn't get addressed over here. Okay, so let us start with this one. So, what are the impacts on India when Iran moves closer to Pakistan, or say when both Pakistan and Iran comes together? What would be the impact on India? And by the way, you have to remember here that Iran is one of the closest ally to India. Iran is one of the strategic partnership. India and Iran have a strategic partnership. Say in 2011, so I'm giving you one example. In 2011, when US imposed sanction on Iran, so usually the international trade takes place through dollars, US dollars. Usually if we have to buy some goods from say XYZ country, we buy it by using dollars. So when US had imposed sanctions on Iran, so we couldn't use US dollars. So what we started using Indian currencies. So we are so close, that is India and Iran is very close entities. We have a strategic partnership. So also, so now when such a close ally, when it moves closer to Pakistan, Pakistan is not a very friendly country. You cannot call Pakistan as an enemy country, but you have to call it as a friendly, not a friendly country. So this is what you have to do. Even if you're writing answers, don't tell that the so and so country is an enemy country. That's not the way you write your answers. Not a friendly country. So Pakistan and China are not a friendly country. That's what you have to write. And again, Iran is a friendly country. So Iran, one of the closest ally, is moving towards Pakistan, which is not as friendly country as such. So again here, so impact on India. So when Iran, which is the closest ally, when it moves towards Pakistan, which is not a friendly country, so what happens to India? So that's what we'll be analyzing. So geopolitical dynamics would change in the region. Why geopolitical dynamics would change in the region, or say in the South Asia region? Because earlier what was happening, the Iran was not a close ally to Pakistan. So Iran, there were tensions between Iran and Pakistan. So if you see here, Iran was striking missiles on Pakistan and Pakistan was retaliating with Iran. So as a reason, there were tensions between Iran and Pakistan, and India was very close to Iran. So as a reason, what happened? Since India was very close to Iran, so India, that is Iran, allowed India to construct their port, construct India's port in Iran, Chabar port. So Chabar port is one of the India's strategic port in Iran. India constructed the Chabar port because the reason is, see here, this is your Gwadar port. Gwadar port is in seaport. Gwadar port is in Pakistan. It's a seaport. It is constructed by China, and China and Pakistan are the closest ally. But however, if India has to maintain a strategic position in this region, India should also have its connectivity port. So who supported that? Iran supported. That is, we have our Chahabar port in this region, and Iran supported that construction of Chahabar port in this region. So Iran was one of the closest ally. But now what is happening? Iran is moving closer to Pakistan. If Iran moves closer to Pakistan, the geopolitical dynamics can change. Say tomorrow, Iran may not allow India to use Chabar port because Iran is moving closer to Pakistan. It can happen. So the geopolitical dynamics can change over here. Now, what is happening when India was close to Iran and Iran was not a close ally to Pakistan? India could use this Chabar port, which Pakistan did not like, which China did not like. China wanted to maintain its dominance. So, as a reason, they built Gwadar port. Pakistan wanted to maintain its dominance. As a reason, they have their port there. Pakistan and China doesn't want India to maintain dominance in this region. So, but as a reason, Pakistan and China doesn't want India to have Gwadar port, but Iran allowed us. But now what is happening? Iran is moving closer to Pakistan. It can compromise our Chabar port and our trade connectivity in this region. So this can be the geopolitical dynamics. And again, China factor will also creep in. See, Iran is a close ally to India, and Pakistan is a very close ally to China. If Iran is moving close to Pakistan, there would be very high probability that uh, Iran can also become a very close ally to China. So if Iran becomes a very close ally to China compared to India, then it is a challenge for India. So what would happen? So China's influence would increase in this region. China has already great influence in Pakistan. So what would happen? This would compromise India's influence in the region. That is, the China factor would grow in this region. So this is another geopolitical dynamics. So if if it is moving closer to Pakistan and China are a close ally. If Iran is moving closer to Pakistan, there is very high probability that Iran can also become a close ally to China. If Iran becomes a close ally to China, then what would happen? In this region, the China's dominance would increase, and and it would challenge India's dominance in the region. So these are the geopolitical dynamics, and there's also security angle regarding Iran moving closer to Pakistan. So, what is the security angle? If you consider here, the Lashkar-e-Toiba, which is one of the militant agency or a militant organization that is housed in Pakistan. Earlier, Iran was very critical about the militant agencies in Pakistan. Earlier, Iran was very critical against Pakistan because Pakistan was housing many militant groups. Now, if Iran is moving closer to Pakistan, do you think Iran would oppose this militant groups? No. The probability is that they might not oppose because Iran is moving closer to Pakistan. If Iran is not opposing this militant groups would get empowered, and this militant groups can start attacking India. So that is one security concern. That is, increased proxy activities can take place because earlier it was Iran that was controlling the militant group housed in Pakistan. So if you see here, because militant groups were housed over here, Iran indulged in missile strike in this region. Now, if Iran comes closer to Pakistan, what would happen? Do you think Iran would raise wars against militants in Pakistan? Unlikely, very unlikely. So, what would happen? This would empower the militants to strike against India. So, this is one of the important challenges that can arise because Iran is moving closer to Pakistan. So this is the security concern. And we also have economic concerns. If Iran is moving closer to Pakistan, so we do have some economic concern, because what would happen? The energy security. Iran has a rich oil and natural gas resource. If Iran is moving closer to Pakistan, so the chances of oil supply and natural gas to India can get affected. So this is also a probability that if Iran is moving closer to Pakistan, the chances of India's dependence on Iran for oil and natural gas can get affected. So that is, India's energy security can get affected. India imports a lot of oil and natural gas from Iran. If Iran is moving closer to Pakistan, Pakistan can influence Iran to cut down the supply of oil and natural gas to India. So this would affect India's energy security as such. Clear? Fine. Now let us take the next aspects, that is another economic implication is that Chabar port. So this Chabar port is one of the crucial port for India to access the Central Asia. See, this is your Central Asia, Afghanistan. Via Afghanistan we can access the Central Asia. How do we reach Afghanistan? So because this is India, because Pakistan did not allow India to access Afghanistan, the only available alternative was, from India we have to go to Chabar port. From Chabar port via Iran we can access Afghanistan. From Afghanistan towards the north we will go to the Central Asia. That is the roadmap that we have. But what would happen? What's the reason? Why are we emphasizing so much on Chabar port? It is because Pakistan did not allow us. Pakistan, see here, this is Pakistan. Pakistan did not allow us to go to Afghanistan. Pakistan did not allow their land to be used to trade with Afghanistan. So as a reason, we had to find some alternative. So what was the alternative? Since Iran was our closest ally, we have a strategic partnership with Iran. India built a Chabar port here. Via Chabar port, we can go to from Chabar port till Afghanistan. This road has been built by in Iran. From here, we can access Afghanistan. From Afghanistan, we can access Central Asia. So this was the plan. Now, if Iran is moving closer to Pakistan, so there is very high probability that Pakistan will influence Iran for not allowing India to access Chabar port. This is a probability because Pakistan did not allow their land to be used to trade with Afghanistan. Now, Pakistan can also influence Iran to not allow India to use Chabar port. If India doesn't have access to Chabar port, India cannot have a good access with Afghanistan. So the only mode of trade and communication with Afghanistan would be via airways or say air route, and that is a costly affair. So as a reason, so what Pakistan would plan is that, so they would influence Iran to not allow India to use this Chabar port. So again, China also wants the same thing. That is, China doesn't want India to extend its role beyond South Asia, and China doesn't want India to enter into Central Asia. In order to enter into Central Asia, Chabar port is very crucial. In order to increase India's influence in Afghanistan, Chabar port is very crucial. Both Pakistan doesn't want India in Afghanistan, China doesn't want India in Afghanistan. Considering all this factor, there is high probability that Pakistan can influence Iran to not allow India to use this Chabar port. So again, so these are the economic implication. So what should be the India's response? India's response regarding Iran moving closer to Pakistan. What should be India's response? Should India's response should always be measured and diplomatic. So what should be India's response? India should strengthen ties with other regional powers like say Russia and USA. So it is not that, so if we have good ties with Russia and USA, the dependency of oil and natural gas from Iran would come down. And secondly, what would happen if Iran goes very closer to Pakistan? Russia would help us. So there's not a great relationship between Russia and Pakistan, and Iran and USA doesn't have a good relationship. So it's something like this: Russia and Pakistan doesn't have good relationship. Iran and USA doesn't have good relationship. So what we should do is that we should have a good relationship with US, we should have a good relationship with Russia. So that is the plan. So again, strengthening good ties with the regional powers like say Russia and US. And another thing is that if we have a good ties with Russia and US, the energy dependency on Iran would come down. So currently we are dependent on Iran for natural gas and oil. So but if Iran is moving closer to Pakistan, so then Iran can any day cut the oil supply and natural gas to India. So if we have a close contact with Russia and US, so Russia and US can be our alternative supplier of natural gas and petroleum, your oil. So strengthening the ties with regional powers like Russia and US. Next one is maintaining open channels. So what do you mean by maintaining open channels? So we know that Iran is moving closer to Pakistan. So that doesn't mean that we'll completely stop talking with Iran and Pakistan. So we shouldn't be doing that. So that's very foolish or childishness. So we should have open channels. Even though Iran is moving closer to Pakistan, so we should have open channels to talk with both Iran and Pakistan. See, in diplomacy, it is all about communication. If we have good communication with Iran and Pakistan, so all the issues can be resolved. So deterrence, like all the retaliation, war, etc., that is should be considered as a last resort. But even though if Iran is moving closer to Pakistan, it is better we have open channels with both the countries, so that if there is any upcoming issues that would arise, it could be resolved through dialogues. So again, opening, we should have open channels. And next one is investing in alternative energy in India. See, why Iran is important for us? So for India, why Iran is important? Because Iran is one of the largest supplier of oil and natural gas. If we have alternative energy sources like solar power, wind power, etc., our dependency on oil and natural gas from Iran would come down. So as a reason, what would happen? The dependency on Iran would come down. So India will not require Iran as much as it wants now. So this should be the India's response. Along with this, India should also utilize the multilateral forum like SCO. In SCO, Iran is a member, Pakistan is a member. So in SCOs, if there's any issue that arises between Iran, India, and Pakistan, between this trilateral group, we can resolve this any issue that could arise between this trilateral group in multilateral forums like SCO. That is another opportunity. India is a member of SCO, Pakistan is a member of SCO, and Iran is also a member of SCO. So we can utilize this platform, or so this forum, to resolve any issues that is there between India, Iran, and Pakistan. And again, energy diversification. As told earlier, India has a huge dependency on Iran for oil and natural gas. India should diversify its energy procurement resources. That is, India should not just procure from, say, Iran. If there are other sources like, say, US, Russia, your Middle East, even Africa for that matter. So from these regions also, we should start procuring. We should diversify our procurement, so that as a reason, what happens, the dependency on Iran would come down. So this should be the India's response, and it has to be very much calculated. Since Iran is a strategic partner of India, it should be very calculated move. Fine. So this has to be the India's response. Is it clear? Any doubt till here? Fine. Okay, fine. So now let us take the next topic. So that is Sri Lankan debt issue. So we know that I'll give a brief background behind this article. So Sri Lanka is negotiating with the various bondholders in a sense who have given money to Sri Lanka. So it is negotiating, and we know that Sri Lanka is going through some big financial crisis. So in this context, we will be picking up this article. First, let us discuss the background about this article. So, what is the background about this article? So, Sri Lanka is an island country, and it is a tourism dependent country. So, majority of the revenue for Sri Lanka comes from tourism. So, and what happened since say from 2014 2015 onwards, so Sri Lanka started taking a lot of loans, a lot of credit, because the credit availability was there at a very cheaper rate. And one of the main culprit over here is that China. So China was giving loans to Sri Lanka at a very cheap rate of interest. It was almost negligible rate of interest, and Sri Lanka availed a lot of loans, and there was this led to inflation in Sri Lanka. So as a reason, what happened? There was a time where Sri Lanka was not able to repay the loans, and the main economic activity in Sri Lanka is tourism. So what happened during COVID, or say even after COVID, the tourism declined. The tourism as a sector, or say as a sector, declined greatly in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka was economic activity was mainly fueled by tourism. So due to COVID, the entire tourism industry collapsed. So since the entire tourism industry collapsed, Sri Lanka was not able to generate revenue, and Sri Lanka was not able to get the adequate foreign currencies for them to repay back the loan. So, as a reason, what happened? Post COVID, Sri Lanka went into a debt spiral. So, what is a debt spiral? The debt keeps on increasing because of the rate of interest and the principal amount. Sri Lanka was not capable enough to even pay the interest rate. Forget about the principal amount, even the interest rate, it was not able to pay back. So as a reason, what happened? Sri Lanka got into a debt spiral. So the high debt levels, that is post pandemic, or say even during pandemic, Sri Lanka's economic activity almost collapsed, because Sri Lanka mainly dependent on tourism sector, and tourism sector almost collapsed in Sri Lanka. So there was a high debt level, and unsustainable debt was taken by Sri Lanka. Unsustainable debt in the sense, it's something like this: in order to pay back the interest, Sri Lanka was taking more loan. It is something like this: I take 100 rupees loan, and for that the rate of interest was 10 rupees. In order to pay this 10 rupee as a rate of interest, I was taking loan. So that was unsustainable debt. So Sri Lanka had entered into this phase, that is, in order to just pay back the interest, Sri Lanka was taking loan. So it was an unsustainable debt, and your IMF and World Bank had raised flag about this unsustainable debt. And IMF in 2022 deemed considered that Sri Lanka was in this unsustainable debt, and as a reason, what happened? Sri Lanka went to IMF to get the adequate money so that they could come out of this debt trap. That is, they wanted a bailout from IMF. Sri Lanka wanted a bailout from IMF. So Sri Lanka IMF accepted, and IMF as of now IMF has given two times IMF has given the money to Sri Lanka, and say somewhere in the June July IMF is also planning to give the money, or say give some money to Sri Lanka for the third time. So till now, two times IMF has given money for Sri Lanka to come out of this debt trap. And on as per the recent report of IMF, the debt trap, the debt in Sri Lanka is coming down. But however, World Bank says that the rate of poverty is very high, and almost till 25-26 Sri Lanka cannot come out of this debt trap. That's what World Bank is telling. And currently what is happening is that since IMF has given money to Sri Lanka twice and still it is in the debt trap, so Sri Lanka is negotiating with all the people who have given loan to Sri Lanka. So even bilateral loans have also been taken. That is, India has given some loans to Sri Lanka, US has given loans, or say China has given loans to Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka is negotiating with the bilateral partners who have given loans to Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka has also taken loans from the private entities like large banks. Also Sri Lanka has taken loan. So as of now, so Sri Lanka has more or less negotiated with the countries with which it has taken loans, but now it is in a process of negotiating the loans, or say restructuring the loans with the private entities. So this is the background that regarding the current situation. Is it clear? Fine. So now let us see what is happening in the current situation. In the current situation, that is, Sri Lanka has almost negotiated with all the bilateral loans. That is the countries which has given loan to Sri Lanka. Now it is in a phase of negotiating the loans, or say restructuring the loans with the private entity. So now Sri Lanka has gone to IMF for the third time to get some money so that that is, IMF can bail out Sri Lanka from the debt crisis. So IMF program aims for economic recovery through austerity measures. So what is austerity measures? Austerity, for the third time, when Sri Lanka has gone to IMF for the third time to get some money, IMF has told that to implement the austerity measures. So what are these austerity measures? That is, the government should cut down on its spending various sector. So when the government cut down on its spending, so that situation is called as austerity measures. So when Sri Lanka has approached IMF for the third time for bailout, IMF has told that if Sri Lanka follows this austerity measures, we will be giving the money for the third time. So Sri Lanka has IMF has given time for Sri Lanka, say by June or July. IMF will be reviewing the Sri Lanka's economic activity and the government's policy, and based on that, IMF would plan whether to give money to Sri Lanka or not. So, but however, IMF tells that there are positive signs in Sri Lanka because the government has taken up some of the austerity measures. But however, World Bank says that the economic recovery in Sri Lanka would be very slow and the poverty would be very high until say 2026. Till 2026, the economic recovery in Sri Lanka would be very low. So it would be very slow and the poverty would be very high. So this is the background of the Sri Lanka's economic crisis. So in this background, let us understand what would be the implication to India. What would be this economic crisis, Sri Lanka's economic crisis implication on India. So let us start with the first implication, that is, if Sri Lanka has economic crisis, it would increase India's engagement. Say engagement in terms of India's investment or giving line of credit. So if Sri Lanka is facing some crisis, India would actively engage with Sri Lanka in order to help Sri Lanka to come out of this crisis. Say if you consider into 2022 last year, there was a severe crisis, fuel crisis in Sri Lanka. So who helped Sri Lanka? It was India who helped Sri Lanka in terms of fuel crisis by providing them fuel, and even the basic ration, the basic food items. There was crisis in even in the basic food items that was also supplied to Sri Lanka by India. So if Sri Lanka is in a crisis, so what would happen is that it would increase the India's engagement with Sri Lanka. So as of now, India has given say somewhere around $4.5 billion of financial assistance to Sri Lanka. And again here, don't think that we are giving grant. That is $4.5 billion of grant is not given. It is a line of credit. We have given loan to Sri Lanka, and again here this loan also has been restructured in such a way that the rate of interest is very low. So what would happen is that if Sri Lanka is in a crisis, it would increase economic engagements with Sri Lanka. Clear? So another thing is that it would increase, yeah, yeah, it would increase the investment opportunity. Since Sri Lanka is in economic crisis, the government of Sri Lanka will not have adequate money to invest in various sectors like say infrastructure, etc., so on and so forth. So since Sri Lankan government is in economic crisis, it gives a very good opportunity for India to invest in Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka is one of the emerging countries, one of the developing countries. So it becomes an opportunity for India to invest in Sri Lanka. That is, investment opportunity will be there. Say investment opportunity in various sectors like say infrastructure, tourism, etc. So that opportunity is there. Investment opportunity would be created. And also, that is, it will help in strategic and political relationship. Since see, what is the main reason why Sri Lanka is in a debt trap? One of the main reason is China. So if China, because China, what China was doing was that China was giving loans at a very cheap rate of interest, and it was structured in such a way that Sri Lanka would get into debt trap. So what happened eventually? Sri Lanka got into debt trap, and now Sri Lanka realized that it is all because of China. So since Sri Lanka's economic crisis, one of the main reason for Sri Lanka's economic crisis is China. So now if India helps Sri Lanka in this situation, it would build the strategic and political relationship between India and Sri Lanka. And say Sri Lanka is one of the important countries that India requires its support to maintain its hegemony in the Indian Ocean region. If India has to maintain its hegemony or say supremacy in Indian Ocean region, India requires Sri Lanka's support. Say if Sri Lanka moves closer to China, so what would happen? China would come and install all their setup, all their establishments in Sri Lanka, and it would undermine India's hegemony or say India's supremacy in the Indian Ocean region. If China has to keep if Sri Lanka has to keep China away, India should be very close to China. If sorry, India should be very close to Sri Lanka. And again here, so what is happening? If India is helping Sri Lanka, so it would build a strategic and political relationship between India and Sri Lanka. So these are the implications of India Sri Lanka relationship during the economic crisis in Sri Lanka. Is it clear? Afrin, so China, see, one of the reason why Sri Lanka got into this debt trap was China. So now China has told that whatever, so now China has not proactively helped Sri Lanka. It was India who helped Sri Lanka. So China has not helped Sri Lanka. So as a reason, so Sri Lanka has developed a goodwill towards India. Fine. Sri Lanka got the money they invested in infrastructure. So what happened between China and Sri Lanka is that China gave money to Sri Lanka. They invested in infrastructure, but they couldn't get the revenue out of that infrastructure. Since they did not get the revenue out of that infrastructure, Sri Lanka was not able to pay back to China. So as a reason, what China did, China took over that infrastructure. Sri Lanka took money to build ports, seaports. Sri Lanka built it. Since Sri Lanka was not able to pay back the money, China took over these ports, and again it took over that port, and it was leased for say 99 years. So this is how China is trapping all these small countries. Fine. Okay, fine. So Israel-Iran issue. This is an ongoing issue. This is an ongoing. Any doubts regarding the Sri Lankan debt crisis? All good. Okay, fine. So let us consider Israel-Iran issue. So this issue is one of the most happening things in the month of April. So, but however, Israel and Iran, the issue goes back multiple decades. So, starting from the origin of Israel, which was severely opposed by Iran, from that time even now, is there's a major issue between Iran and Israel. So this is your Iran, this is Israel. So there's a major issue between Iran and Israel. If you consider the recent times, so there are exchanges of missile strikes between both the countries. So briefly giving you a timeline, or say giving a background behind Israel and Iran. So this is Israel, this is Iran. So what happened? So the current crisis that started from April 1st, it escalated a lot. So this crisis started because there was the retaliatory action between Israel and Palestine. So when Israel attacked Hamas, that and this led to Israel-Palestine issue, and Iran was supporting the militant group in Palestine. So this, and not just now, Iran has been supporting the militant group in Palestine region and surrounding regions, say your Syria, Lebanon, and the militant group in Syria, Lebanon, even in Palestine, who are acting against Israel. Iran is supporting those militant group. So what happened? So in last year, somewhere around October, the issue between the issue between Palestine and Israel emerged. So because what happened, it was Hamas indulged in some missile strike on Israel. As a retaliation, Israel launched a massive missile strikes on Hamas, or say that is the Gaza Strip region. So what happened as a reason? Iran got irked because Iran is funding those militants who are acting against Israel's interest. So Iran is funding the militant groups in Palestine, in Lebanon, and in Syria. In these three regions, Iran is indirectly funding the militant groups who are acting against the Israel. So this is an issue, and so as a reason, what happened? Iran accused Israel of various attacks in the region. So Israel attacked the militant group in some of the militant groups in Palestine and some of the militant groups in, say, Syria and Lebanon. So Iran was accusing Israel that Israel is using excessive power to curb all these militant groups. So this is the background. And again, what happened? Iran is supporting various militant groups across around Israel region, and this is termed as axis of resistance. So axis of resistance against the US and the Western power. So Israel is considered as a little brother of US, and there are many militant group which is not friendly with the Western entity. So as a reason, they are striking, or say they are attacking the Israel. So who are those militant group? The famous militant group are Hezbollah, Hamas, Palestine Islamic Jihad, so and Houthis. So these are some of the major militant groups who attack Israel, because these militant groups are against the Western hegemony, or say Western dominance. And since Israel is seen as a little brother of US, so this militant group, rather than attacking the Western countries, they attack the Israel, because Israel is seen as a little brother of US. So this is the background of the issue, that is. And who is supporting all these militant groups? So it is indirectly supported by Iran. And Iran, see here, Iran is a dominant Shia dominant country. So what is happening? This Hezbollah is also one of the militant group which is which is basically the members of Hezbollah groups are belongs to Shia community, and Iran is also a Shia dominant country. So what is happening is that Iran is supporting Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a militant group, and this Hezbollah is attacking Israel. So this is what is happening in the current times. So Hezbollah is in Lebanon, and this Hezbollah is being supported by Iran, and this Hezbollah attacks Israel. The reason why it attacks Israel is that all these militant entities, they are against the Western hegemony, and Israel is seen as a little brother of the Western countries. So the Hezbollah, or say any of the militant group, keeps attacking Israel. So this is the background of the issue that has arisen in the recent times. So now what happened on in the beginning of this month is that on 1st of April, so this is Syria. So this is your Damascus. So Damascus is the capital of Syria. So in Damascus, we had Iran embassy. In this Iran embassy, there was a missile strike. So, and this missile strike led to a death of the important Iran's military commanders and military officers, where military officers died because of this missile strike. And Iran accused Israel for this missile strike in Syria, because what was happening was that the militant groups in Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine regions were funded by, or indirectly funded by Iran in order to attack Israel. So as a reason, what happened? So when the important military commanders of Iran were in this Damascus Iran embassy, there was a missile strike to this embassy. As a reason, a few of the important Iran military commanders died. So Iran accused Israel of this strike, but however, Israel completely rejected this. Israel did not accept that Israel has conducted this missile strike. As a reason, what happened? Iran retaliated through various drones and missile strike on April 13th. That is, Iran through various drone attacks and missile attacks, attacked Israel on April 13th. Say, but however, what happened? Almost say 99% of the missile did not fall on Israel's land, but however, it also led to some damages in Israel. So in this, because of this damages, so what happened? Israel also retaliated on April 19th. Israel also launched missiles to Iran on April 19th. So this is the recent happenings. So on first of, you need not remember the date, but just analyze what is happening. So Israel strike Iran in Syria, that is in Syria's Iran embassy. Israel strike. So in retaliation, Iran attacked Israel. As a retaliation, again Israel attacked Iran. So in this context, now let us see what is happening at the across the world, how countries are responding towards this crisis. So what has happened is that the Western countries like say your UK and Germany, they have given complete support to Israel. So they have called for Israel to attack Iran. So it is usually the Western countries are not so friendly with Iran. There are so many times the Western countries have imposed sanctions on Iran. Now that Iran has attacked Israel, which is a very close ally to the Western countries, the Western countries have given open support to Iran. That is, UK has completely given support to Iran. Even Germany has given complete support to Iran. But however, here the catch is that US has not given complete support to Iran. US is in a state of ambiguity. That is, US has neither supported Israel openly, nor it has completely accused Israel openly. So US is in a flux situation. Neither it has supported Israel nor it has gone against Israel. Initially, between Israel, the issue between Israel and Palestine, US was supporting Israel openly. But in this issue, that is issue between your Israel and Iran, so what is happening is that US has not supported Israel openly. So there are quite a few analysis that the current Biden regime, that is the current Democrats regime, so they are not in favor of any war. That is the voters of the Democrat regime, that is the Biden regime, the supporters of the current Biden regime, they are not in favor of war. So as the reason, Biden has not supported Israel. See, Iran is one of the important power. Israel is also one important power. So as the reason, if US supports Israel, this war could escalate. But whereas in the previous case, that is between Israel and Palestine, US was supporting Israel because Palestine was a weak entity. Since it's a weak entity, US was easily supporting Israel as this war will not escalate. But whereas Iran and Iran is more or less a nuclear power. So it was said that from there was a report in January this year. It said that within 3 weeks to 5 weeks, Iran has all the potential to develop a nuclear weapon. So between three, this report was published in January. So in January, it stated that between 3 weeks to 5 weeks, Iran has all the capabilities to develop a nuclear weapon. So now it is almost April. So we don't know whether Iran has developed its own nuclear weapon or not. So Iran is more or less a nuclear power. Israel is more or less a nuclear power. If US, one of the superpower, when it is going to support Iran, it is going to support Israel, Iran can also retaliate. As a reason, what would happen? The war would escalate. And the Biden's regime, or say the Democrats, doesn't want war. So it doesn't want anything to do with war. So as a reason, US has neither supported Israel nor criticized Israel in this context, in this issue. So then what would be India's stance in this issue? So what is India's stance? See, Israel is close to India in the present administration or the present regime. So that is in the present Modi regime. India has become very close and a close ally of Israel. At the same time, India also maintains a very close connection with Iran. So now what has happened is that India has to maintain diplomatic relation with Israel. At the same time, India also has to maintain diplomatic relation with Iran. We cannot support Israel or Iran in this issue. So as a reason, what India has done is that India has called up both the entities, that is both Israel and Iran, and called for de-escalation of the issue. India has not supported Israel, nor India has supported Iran. Whereas your UK and Germany, they have openly supported Israel, but India has neither supported Israel and Iran. What India has asked is for de-escalation of the issue, so that we can maintain stability in the region. So this is India's stance. Is it clear? Fine. Any doubts here? What, sir? It could be similar to gain Western. Okay. No, Israel doesn't want to play a victim card. Israel wants to show itself as a powerful entity in the world. So, as a reason, they are taking on the Iran. Iran is also a powerful entity. So, Israel doesn't want to have a victim card. What in steps? So India has not taken any stance in this issue. India has neither supported Israel nor India has supported Iran, because both India and Israel, both India has a very good relationship Israel as well as Iran. So we don't want to irritate any of these two entities. No, UK and Germany are in Israel side. Usually the Western countries are on the Israel side. No, Israel has not accepted that they have attacked Iran in Syria. So Israel has not accepted, but Iran is claiming that it was the role of Israel. That is, Israel killed their military officers. Yes, Abhishek, you're right. If India supports Israel, then Iran can become get closer to Iran. Iran can get closer to Pakistan. Fine. Any other doubts regarding this issue? Okay, so now let us take the next topic. So, why did Israel attack in Syria on Iran diplomats? So, Komal, why did they attack? The reason is not known. So what is the dynamics? What is the geopolitical dynamics? Is that Iran is supporting the militant group. Just focus on this image, you'll have a better idea. So there are various militant groups. This is Israel. So this is Israel. There are various militant group in Lebanon, Syria, and in Palestine. And in these regions, so what Iran is doing is that they are supporting. That is, Iran is funding the militant group. See, Hamas. Just consider Hamas. It is a pure militant group. So militant group. Where do they get so much money from? So it is said that Iran is the one that is supporting this entity. So there are so many Hezbollah. Hezbollah is one of the militant group. Where do they get so much money from? So it is said that Iran is sponsoring them. So what Israel thinks that these are allegations. There is no clear evidence as such. So these are the allegation. What Israel thinks that Iran is sponsoring this militant group in Lebanon, Syria, and Palestine, who are acting against Israel's interest. So as a reason, it is again alleged that Israel has attacked Iran in Iran's embassy in Syria. So this is the allegation. So there is nothing concrete as such. Yeah, Nikhil, you're right. That is, Israel is chewing more than it can swallow. No, Israel wants to portray itself as one super entity, superpower in this region. It was thinking that US would support Israel, but however, in this case, US did not support Israel. So there are various analysis in Indian Express that states that since Joe Biden belongs to the Democrats Party, and the supporter and the voters of Democrat Party, they are completely against war, and this is the election season in US. So as a reason, Joe Biden has not supported Israel in this condition. In the previous case, that is Israel versus Palestine, so what was happening was that US gave a clear support to Israel, because they knew that this war would not escalate, because on the other side, the Palestine, the Hamas groups are very they're not a great power as such, who could retaliate Israel and again escalate the war. So that would not happen. But whereas in this condition, Israel and Iran is powerful entity, Israel is also powerful entity. If US is supporting Israel, Iran had told that they would retaliate against Israel. So, and US doesn't want to escalate the war because of the current Joe Biden administration, who is completely against the war. They haven't supported Israel. Yes, Pooja, IMF takes the money back. So it's not that they'll do a favor. We have to repay it back. Fine. Okay. That is to some extent true, Mustafa. That is, it is not that Joe Biden is afraid of Iran's closeness to China, Russia. See, US is a superpower, that we have to accept it. Okay. Uh, it is not that US fears China or say Russia, nothing as such. Uh, it's simple thing is that he doesn't want to escalate the war. So that's what most of the article says. And if you read the articles in The Diplomat, it's one of the important newspaper that is completely regarding IR. So if you read the articles analysis about this in Diplomat, The Diplomat magazine, or say the newspaper, so it clearly the analysis more or less, if you read say 4 5 articles on this issue, the analysis more or less says that Joe Biden doesn't want to escalate the war. It is not that he or that the US is afraid of China or Russia. So yeah, nothing as such. Just that it is a Democrats party, and the voters of Democrats party are against war. This is an election season, so that's the reason. So US has not taken any stance with this thing, Israel. Whereas the Republican Party, the Trump's Republican Party, is a very close ally with Israel, because the many Jew community in US are a supporter of Republican Party, the Trump. So that's the thing. That's how that dynamics works. Yeah, Dhanya, you're right. Absolutely, it's a vote bank. Vote bank. Biden is more concerned about the vote bank. Yeah. So election year. So that's the reason. Okay. Fine. Okay. Let us start with the next topic. So that is your India and Maldives. So not so good news for India regarding what is happening in Maldives. So Maldives, this is Maldives for the people who don't know. Just analyze this image, this map. Only then you will get to know what is the importance of India and Maldives relationship. So this is Maldives, small island country. So this is your Indian Ocean region. So if India has to maintain its hegemony, maintain its supremacy, India should have a close relationship with Maldives, Sri Lanka, and all the small countries. Because if Maldives allows China to settle, China to establish their infrastructure here, India, it will affect India's supremacy in this region. if Sri Lanka allows China to enter into their land, it would affect India's supremacy in this region. If India has to maintain hegemony, we should require support of these small island countries, because India is considered as a net security provider in Indian Ocean region. Recently, there was a pirates attack near the Red Sea, right? So who's rescued them? Indian Navy. So India is considered as a net security provider in this region, that is Indian Ocean region. And if India, in order to act as a net security provider, India should have close contact with all these island countries. So that's why these island countries are extremely important from India's relationship, or say India's to maintain India's hegemony in the Indian Ocean region. Fine. So now let us see what is happening in Maldives and why it is a big concern for India. So what happened? So last year, say somewhere around October last year, 2023, we had this President Mizu. So this President Mizu, this is President Mizu. So yeah, this is President Mizu. So he was against India's working against India's interest in Maldives. So India and Maldives are a very close ally. Since 1960s, India and Maldives are a very close ally. Since that is Maldives independence, India and Maldives are a very close ally. So what happened? India had established some of its military units and navy units in Maldives, because India wanted to become a net security provider in this Indian Ocean region. India had established some of the military units and navy units in this Maldives region. So this was not accepted by the current president, Mohammad Mizu. So what happened? Somewhere in October, we had a presidential election. Again, here Maldives is not a parliamentary democracy. Maldives is a presidential form of government. It's not a parliamentary form of governance. It's a presidential form of government. So there is a president and there is a legislature. So the president has most of the decision that has to be approved by the legislature. So this is how it works. Even in US also, this is how it works. So there is a president, and in US we have Congress is your legislature. So even in Maldives, it is a presidential system. In Maldives, there's a president and there's a legislature. President will take most of the decisions, but in some of the decision, the legislature has to approve. So that is how your Maldives government functions. So what happened in October last year, 2023? So this President Mizu, the Mohammad Mizu, he was one of the contestant, and this is President Soli. So the previous President Soli. So President Soli is a very close ally to India. So because we had President Soli, so he had allowed India to access their land and establish military units in Maldives and naval units in Maldives. So as a reason, India had a very great influence in this surrounding region. So in the surrounding region, India had a great influence because President Soli, the previous president, was a very close ally to India. Since he was a very close ally to India, he had allowed Indian military units and Indian naval units to set up there, so that we could establish our influence in this region. So now what happened? President Mizu got elected. So in this President Mizu, when he got elected last year, 2023, so he was completely against India. So he won the election through the campaign called as India Out. So his entire campaign was known as India Out. So this, based on this campaign, he won the election. So President Soli was removed and President Mizu was in place. So as a reason, what happened? This President Mizu is a very pro-China person. So he is against India and he's pro-China. But whereas this President Soli, he was pro-India and against China. This President Mizu, the current president of Maldives, is pro-China, anti-India. So that is the President Mizu's party is known as People's National Congress. And not so, and the concerning issue is that there was a Maldives parliamentary elections. So in this Maldives parliamentary election, President Mizo's party won, that is People's National Congress won. So what happened, just analyze the timeline from October last year till April this year. President Mizu was there. But however, in the legislature, so we had President Solis party was there. President Solis party was there. So no major action was taken against India. Now, recently we had one election in Maldives. In that election, President Mizu's party, that is People National Congress, won the election. So this People National Congress is completely against India and they are pro China. So this is a big concern for India. Understood? So this is the basics. And again here, President Solis party is Maldivian Democratic Party. But now President Mizu, he is the president and his party is in the majority in the legislature. So as a reason, what would happen? Whatever President Mizo's decision would be there, it would be accepted by the legislature. But whereas earlier in the legislature or in the parliament, President Solis, that is the former President Solis party was there. So it was not allowing President Mizo's to take all the anti-India stance. Now in the parliament as well as the president is completely pro-China and anti-India. This is a big concern for India. So what is the concern? What is the concern for India? So impact on India. So what is the impact on India? So we know that this President Mizo is a pro-China president. So what are the impacts on India? The first major impact is that diplomatic relation will get spoiled. See, since independence of Maldives, India is a very close ally of Maldives. So now what happened in the recent times, this President Mizu, due to his campaign, India Out campaign, Maldivian government is going against India and moving in favor of China. So the current Maldives government is pro-China government. So the diplomatic relationship between India and Maldives can get affected. And it is to more or less to a large extent it has got affected. So the diplomatic relation has already got affected. And again here there is a security concern. Say security concern because India had its naval units and military units in Maldives. There's a security concern. But now the current President Mizu and his party members, they don't want any of the Indian military units to be in the Maldives land. So as a reason, what is happening is that they are asking India to retreat its military units from Maldives. So if India retreats its units from Maldives, so what would happen? There would be a lot of piracy. So again here, just understand, India is one of the is the net security provider in the Indian Ocean region. So if India is not having its naval units and military units in Maldives, so what would happen? India's influence in this region would come down. If India's influence in this region, if it comes down, then it is a big security concern in this region. And secondly, what would happen is that since the current Maldives is very close to China would set up their military units over there in Maldives. If China sets up their military units there, it is a security concern for India because Maldives and India is very close, is at a very proximity range. So what would happen? China would be very close to India, and then that is a security concern for India. Is it clear? So this is the issue. This is the issue that is going on now. So security concern is one of the issue. Yeah. And again, counterterrorism, since India had its position in Maldives, so it could easily indulge in counterterrorism mechanism. Now the current Maldives government has asked India to leave the country, Indian military to leave the country. So then it would be a concern, it would be a security concern. And again, it would be one economic risk for both the countries. That is, due to anti-India stance by the Maldives government, there was a boycott called against the Maldives tourism, and this affected the Maldives tourism industry. And again, here India is one of the largest Indians are one of the largest tourists in Maldives. And due to Maldives government actions against India, there was a boycott trend in India against Maldives. That has affected the Maldives tourism industry. So again, it would lead to economic impact on Maldives. So this is the impact. And again, it will also affect the regional dynamics. How it would affect the regional dynamics? Because Maldives is moving closer to China, and then in this Indian Ocean region, India is in the hegemony position. India is the net security provider. So in this region, if Maldives is allowing China to enter into this region, it would compromise India's supremacy in this region. It would compromise India's hegemony in this region. So as a reason, what would happen is that the regional dynamics can get shifted. So now India is seen as a superpower in this region. If Maldives allows China to establish their naval units and military units in Maldives, then it would counter India's hegemony, or say India's supremacy in this region. And again, it would also affect India's relationship with various other countries. Now all other small countries thinks believes that India is the net security provider. If China enters into this region, again this relationship can get affected. It would affect the regional dynamics in this region. So this is the impacts on India. But what should India do now? Now the president of Maldives is against India. The legislature of Maldives is against India. Both are pro China. What should India do now? See, international relationship is all about diplomacy. That is, we should have engagements. That is, we should maintain open communication between India and Maldives. Open communication at the highest level. So there should be engagement at the high level between the Maldivian government, and India, so that if there's any issue that comes up, that could be resolved easily. So there should be open relation, that is open communication between Maldives and India. Again, reiterate India's commitment towards Maldives security. Earlier, say before this, the current Maldives government, India was the net security provider to Maldives. Now the Maldives government has asked India to retreat, or say retract their military and naval units. Even now, India should reiterate reiterate India's commitments towards Maldives regarding the security providing, regarding the security issues. And again, India should also help in the developmental activities. And again, in the diplomacy, we should avoid all the aggressive tactics. So what is this aggressive tactics, like say boycotting any country, or indulging in war, etc. Say all these aggressive tactics will not help in any way. So what we should do is that we should avoid the aggressive tactics, like say public pressure, or say economic sanctions like boycott, etc. That would backfire. If we boycott Maldives, matlab, think rationally, think practically. If we boycott Maldives, what would happen? So there is high chances that Maldives would further go closer to China. So to some extent, many experts allege the same thing, that is, when we had some issues with Nepal started moving closer to China. So when we showed this big brother attitude towards Nepal, experts tell us Nepal moved closer to China. Similarly, when we show some aggression towards Maldives, it will again push Maldives further closer to China. So this should be avoided, and we should maintain diplomatic and cooperative approaches in engaging with Maldives. So this has to be our stance. And then what we have to do is that we should strengthen the people to people contact between India and Maldives has to be strengthened. So as a reason, what would happen, the cultural contacts would grow, and this will strengthen the ties between India and Maldives. So this has to be the calculated response between India and Maldives to overcome the current issues that is happening in Maldives. Is it clear? Fine. So this is the fine. Any doubts over here? Popular public opinion not in favor of India. Why? See, Deepshika, the entire campaign that was run by President Mizu, the current president, was against India. It portrayed that the Soli government, the previous government, is a puppet or a slave of India. So the current president portrayed the previous president as a puppet or slave of India and showed that Maldives doesn't have any sovereignty. So whatever India says, this president is doing. So he doesn't have because of him, Maldives doesn't have self-respect. The nationalism issue was raised. So as a reason, the popular sentiment was against India. Fine. Okay. So fine, guys. Any other doubts? All good. Doubts. Fine. Okay then. So thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. See, if Maldives is completely going towards China, what India can do? India cannot retaliate against Maldives. That is, Maldives is a sovereign country. They have all the rights to either choose India or China. So the only way we can counter this stance that Maldives is going towards China is by having engagement with Maldives. We need to gain confidence of Maldives. So we need to showcase that India will always help Maldives and India is always in favor of Maldives. Only then we can get Maldives support, or else we cannot use violence against this. So it is because that's a sovereign country. Fine. Okay then, guys. Chalo then. Yeah. Good night. Good night.